And here is Opposition Leader Peter Dutton commenting on that suspected boat arrival in WA a short time ago.
That sends a clear message to the people smugglers, and that's when they get back in business, and that's when we see boat arrivals. So I think the Prime Minister here needs to answer some serious questions. Minister O'Neill needs to stand up today to provide an explanation to the Australian public about what is going on and how this government has lost control of our borders. I think the Prime Minister has had a shocking week. He hasn't been able to answer questions in relation to releasing 149 criminals into the community. And I think there are very significant issues when the Prime Minister of our country is not even aware, hasn't received any briefing, doesn't have the protections put in place with surveillance mechanisms, etc., to pick up a boat that arrives on our shores.
What do you know about the condition of the men?
We don't know any of the detail yet because the Prime Minister is refusing to provide the detail, and he claims he doesn't know anything about it. And if the Prime Minister doesn't know anything about it and the Minister doesn't know anything about it, then it demonstrates that this government has lost control of our borders.
What happens next?
Well, clearly, the settings that the government's got in place aren't sufficient. The Prime Minister is showing a lack of leadership, a lack of strength and a weakness that is music to the ears of these people smugglers. People smugglers will take the money and they'll put people on boats. They don't care whether the boats sink or not. And this is the 12th arrival. There are over 300 people who have come illegally by boat. And the Prime Minister needs to get in control of this situation because clearly Minister O'Neill is not.
What would you like to see done?
The people smugglers will look for weakness in leadership, and they found it in Anthony Albanese. And the Prime Minister needs to step up and send a very clear message. They've knocked out a couple of the legs of Operation Sovereign Borders, and that's the reason that we see a failure. It's a reason why there is a potential now for more boats, and if one boat can get through in this circumstance and the Prime Minister knows nothing about it, surely there will be more that follow.
Do you think there's a need for additional border security in northern waters?
Well, I think clearly the government hasn't taken border protection seriously. The Prime Minister's never believed in border protection. He's been, along with Andrew Giles, arguing at the ALP conference year after year for the abolition of Operation Sovereign Borders, and now that he's Prime Minister, he's obviously putting that into play by stealth. And what happens when you weaken our defences, you end up with boat arrivals, with people drowning at sea, with kids back in detention, and Minister O'Neill, who's spent her week attacking us, frankly should have been doing her job. And if they had no prior warning of the arrival of this boat, then it shows that the Prime Minister and the Minister have lost control of our borders, and the people smugglers will react to that. They'll put more people on more boats.
We know that there has been an uptick in patrols in northwest waters by the Australian Border Force recently because of an increase in illegal fishers, and that there's also been some social media warnings run by the ABF about the threat of crocodiles to try to discourage those fishers and potential asylum seekers. Are those tactics working?
Well, clearly there's been a catastrophic failure in the system here because this boat has arrived undetected. And if the people smugglers know that 30 people on a boat can get through undetected, not even known to the Prime Minister of our country, then they will take money from more people, they'll put more people on more boats, and we'll get back to the situation that Labor had not too many years ago. The people smugglers will sniff out weakness, and they found a weak Prime Minister. They found a weak Minister. They know that the Labor Party doesn't believe in Operation Sovereign Borders. And in that scenario, you will have these incursions and these breaches, and that the Prime Minister knew nothing about it until a journalist asked him the question is quite remarkable. The Prime Minister says he was in the car, well, presumably he had his phone in the car. So could he not have had a briefing? Could he not have given direction to the Minister to sort this mess out? But this is what happens when you've got a Prime Minister that doesn't have strength and doesn't have the ability to make the tough decisions to keep our country safe. All right, thank you very much. Thank you.